There is a thing, you Jesus, there is a praise, you Lord, there is a hallelujah that's ringing in my soul. There is a thing, you Jesus, there is a praise, you Lord, there is a hallelujah it's ringing in my soul. Thank you, Jesus. Praise you, Lord. Hallelujah. Ringing in my soul. Thank you, Jesus. I praise you, Lord. Hallelujah. Ringing in my soul. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Praise you, Lord. I keep my hallelujah that's ringing in my soul. I thank you, Jesus. Praise you, Lord. Hallelujah, hallelujah, it rings in my soul. Thank you, Jesus. It keeps ringing all day long down in my sanctified soul. Ringing. Thank you, Jesus. I just want to praise you, Lord. Hallelujah. Ringing in my soul. I thank you. Praise you, Lord. Let the church of the living God say hallelujah. Keep it ringing in my soul. I thank you, Jesus. Your name is worthy to be praised, Lord. Hallelujah, the highest praise. Yeah. Ringing in my soul. There is a thing, you Jesus, there is a praise, you Lord, there is a hallelujah that's ringing in my soul. There is a thing, you Jesus, there is a praise, you Lord, there is a hallelujah it's ringing in my soul. Thank you, Jesus. Praise you, Lord.
Praise the Lord, everybody, and God bless you. I am Minister LaWanda Mayfield. You all know me. Oh, what a sad time it is for it to be another Friday night, and the sanctuary is not filled with the praises and the prayers of the saints of God. But just because the physical sanctuary is not filled with the praises and the prayers of the saints of God, your home, which is now your personal sanctuary, is now filled with the praises and the prayers of the saints of God. Listen, I hope you enjoyed prayer this evening, our 6:00 prayer. If you have not joined our 6:00 prayer, you can be more than welcome to join us on our 6:00 prayer. But listen, tonight we have something very special, a very special presentation coming before you. Listen, we get a lot of chances to hear from our elders and our ministers and our leaders of the ministry, but very few do we get to hear the sides or the mindset of our young people and our young adults. And tonight, the Lord impressed it upon my heart for us to get to hear the insight or to get into the mind of what Elder Lori explained to me, which would be the middle layer of our ministry. What is the middle layer? Well, the middle layer is the people who are one day going to become the next layer of ministry, and that is the next leaders and elders and ministers of this church. So I hope you enjoy. We have put this together. I hope that you are in a place where you can sit and listen, and as Mother Page says, sit in your tent doors. Tonight is something that you do not want to move or miss, because tonight we're getting ready to get into the minds of the middle layer. I love you and God bless you. I'll be back.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to our young adult / youth middle layer conversation. So if we could just all go around the room and just say our name, that would be great. I'll start. I'm Candace Cooks. I'll be hosting tonight's conversation, and our theme is just around Women's History Month. So as you can see, we have a full panel of women of all ages tonight to weigh in on a few topics.
I'm Dawn.
My name is Daphne Rivera.
I'm Jada Rivera.
Stacy.
And Brianna.
Great. Okay, ladies, well, we're just going to go ahead and dive in. So we're going to do a fun little icebreaker. So, we're just getting out of our women's conference, which I know we all attended and were a part of. First off, let's give the ladies their flowers for putting on an amazing women's conference. Yes, it was amazing. So, ladies, what's one word to describe your women's conference experience? I know this was my first one with Greater Highway. So, I just came in with, no expectations of past conferences. So I was just excited to be here. I enjoyed all of the daytime workshops and the evening, worship services. For me, I would say it was really rejuvenating and refreshing. Like, I feel like it was right what I needed and right on time. What about you?
I'll go. I felt more empowered than I usually do. I feel like I can jump over some more hurdles. Everything was just to see a bunch of women in the room together, unity, just a lot of love, just really did a lot for me. So I really felt empowered after that women's conference. It was amazing to me.
Great.
If I had to select a word, I guess it would be proud. because I know that it was a challenge being the first virtual women's conference that our organization has had. And so I just feel that so much work, even though I wasn't behind the scenes, my mom was and some of the other people. And I just saw the work that went into it, from like the prayer calls and the girlfriend check-ins that you guys had, and just all the meetings and everything that went into like planning and putting it together. I just felt proud of the work that everyone was able to do, to be able to bring it to pass in the way that it did come to pass. And it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful to see that be accomplished. And I felt proud.
I agree.
Yeah.
If I had to use a word, I would say speechless. I mean, I really don't think I don't really think there's a right word to put there when it comes to the conference. This was my first official real conference. And again, I've been to other virtual conferences. I've never seen a conference done in a spirit of excellence the way it was. I'm totally speechless. I mean, I'm even thinking in the back of my mind to go back to an in-person conference or even have another virtual conference. Like, what would that look like? Because that conference, I feel like even though it was virtual, it was set so high. So now it's like, okay, well, if we have another conference, like, well, what do you do now? Because like they pulled out all the stops. It's kind of like, well, what can you do?
Yeah. I definitely feel like you can build upon it, because now there's just so many different layers that came into being that you can incorporate into in-person as well. So I just feel like it's opened a whole new world, and I'm excited to see what will happen the next time.
If I had to use a word, I'd probably say dynamic, because this women's conference had a lot of positive energy, and it yeah.
And if I had to give a word, I would say redefined. I feel like this was, like Sister Rivera said, like this was a whole new, world that we were going to with this virtual conference, and how we were able to meet so many people in their homes, in the comfort of their homes, and like how many people were just impacted by the classes and by the word every night. It's just redefined. And going back to what Stacey said, to go back to in person, like I don't know, the women did their thing for this virtual conference. So word I would use is redefined.
Right on theme, I see. That was great. That was great. Okay, ladies, we're gonna move it right along. So, who is a woman in your life that you look up to and why? With it being Women's History Month, I feel like we're all, it's in our face, it's publicized, right. It's an international, I would say, holiday now. Like, I believe March 8th was the official day. But I think for me, it has you kind of reflect on the women in your life and the impacts that they have made on you, being the woman you are today, the young lady you are today. For me, one person would be definitely my mom. She's very resilient. She's a God-fearing woman. I think she's, set a great example of, keeping God at the center of your life for our family. She's a mother, she's a wife. My parents have been together for 30 plus years. So, just building that foundation of a family, even though, life has its waves of ups and downs. I feel like she has definitely been someone that's been resilient and strong and kind and loving throughout my 28 years of life. So, she's definitely my number one person.
I'm gonna say the same thing. My mom. I watched her raise me and my brother on her own, working the overnight shift, coming home 3:00 in the morning, and still waking up, making sure we get to school on time. Number one, making sure we have breakfast before we walk out the house. So it's just things that I've seen in her that I do see in myself now. I'm not a quitter. I'm going to finish this because I've watched my mother do it with me and my brother. And we wasn't easy kids. I must say that we wasn't easy kids. You know, I don't sugarcoat anything, but I'm glad that we're here today because she kept us in church. That's the main thing. So I would really say my mother. I would definitely say my mom. She's been through a lot. I've seen a lot that I don't even say. But it's like just to see my mother just keep pushing is just so amazing to me. Just amazing. So I'm with you, Candace.
I guess for me, being one of the oldest ones on, there's so many. Like, it's hard to just pick one because there's just so many different women in different areas and times of my life who have just inspired me. So it's hard for me to just pick one. Like, of course, my mother. There's no way I could not say my mom. But then I think about like women who represent the values and the goals and the dreams that I have. So I also think about, you know, my first lady. Not just because she's a first lady, but also because she was the first person that I knew in my life to open her own school, and she managed it for over 20 years. And I got my start working at the school, Highway Christian Academy. And if it wasn't for Dr. Page opening up that school, I never would have gone after that dream of being an educator. I probably would have just put it out of my mind and didn't think it was possible. So her, and then there are just other women who also went after similar dreams and goals. Evangelist Pamela Odom, she also is a woman who went after opening up a school and many other businesses. So I kind of keep those women in my mind, you know, as I'm going forward in my own life, to know that if they could do it, I could do it as well. And it doesn't matter. And they all did it, you know, in an older age, not when they were so young, but in an older age. So that also inspires me as well.
Anybody else?
Yeah, kind of still on the mom thing. So my mom was almost like doing, like, my mom was a single parent. My mom at one point in time worked 3 jobs to raise me and my sister. My mom kind of like set the standard. Like, you know, you can still reach your goals, but you still have the basics. You still have to go to school. You still have to go to work. You still have to do those things, but you can still achieve your dreams. And I feel like there was nothing that I didn't want to do that my mom didn't push me to do. My mom hasn't encouraged me to do. My mom has really set the standard high. Like, I think my mom was really like the first person in my family to like get a master's degree. So, and she's actually about to start her doctorate. So my mom has really, like, despite all odds, like, she set that standard like real high. So, but then I'm also kind of like Sister Daphne, that, you know, depending on where you are in life, you encounter different women who just push you to where you need to go at that time. Some of them are spiritual, some of them are in the natural, where they cultivate you, they push you, and they encourage you because they see something in you that you may not see in yourself at that time. And then when you know, as that season changes and you mature and you get older, you look back and you're like, wow, like, if it wasn't for that person, like, I wouldn't be who I am today. So it's like when people see you, there are different people in different stages of your life who are women who helped you to be the person that you are right now.
Right.
Very true.
Very true.
That was good, Stacey.
I'm shy.
For me, I'd also probably have to say my mom for sure. When I was younger, a detail that I can remember is that when I was growing up, my mom was also going to college when I was like maybe 3, and she would put me in the daycare, and I would wait for her in the little college daycare for her to come home, for her to come back and take me home. And so my mom is just a big inspiration to me because she's taught me that education is important, and not only education, but also faith. And that's why I really look up to my mom. Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Oh, I don't know what to say. There's like I can go on the mom. Like my mom, she's passed, but she is the reason why who I am today. Like she pushed church. She pushed, just finding myself, being a finer woman, being bold, standing out, going against the odds. And but one person, besides my mom that I think is a role model and someone that I look up to, and she's probably gonna kill me that I say it, but Lawanda.
Just go say
Lawanda. Lawanda, she was one of the first young people that I met coming into Highway, and she always pushed me to join new things. So I did the dance ministry, and I went on the youth choir when they had it. So she always pushed me, and now being in college, some days it gets hard, but I know that I can call Lawanda and she'll tell me like, Bree, just keep on going. You're almost there. And it just keeps me going. And like she always would say that your standards have to have standards. And like I stick with that like in my everyday thing. Everything that I have to do has a standard. And that standard has a standard. And she has been a pivotal person in my life. And she's my role model.
That was beautiful. It really was. I got a little teary-eyed listening to Wanda, I gotta say. Okay, moving right along. So, what do you think is the hardest part about being I would say, a young woman? For Jada and Brianna, I would say a young lady. Just take some time to think about what are some obstacles we face as women that may be a little challenging to overcome at times. I would say for me, which I know previously we hit on self-care, but one thing would be taking time for yourself. Just day-to-day, in your day-to-day routine, or just working, or if you have a family. I always kind of wonder, like, okay, when, like, even with my mom, like, when do you take time for yourself? I always put that bug in her ear, like, okay, like right now my mom she's also an educator and she's on spring break, but she's like still doing work. And I'm like, girl, you need to be relaxing. What is going on? Like, this is your time for you to rejuvenate, relax, do what you need to do for a week long to get your, just take care of you, whatever you please, whether that's, as she says, piddling around the house, just doing little things, whatever that may be. I would just say, I feel like that's one thing as a woman myself that, can be challenging sometimes. You're worried about everybody else in your life when you take care of yourself.
As for me, the hardest thing is me being strong sometimes. I still consider myself young, even though I'm almost 39, but still trying to live, this godly life as a young woman can be very challenging. We still have a lot of temptation out here, and we are doing it. We want to do it the right way. So being strong sometimes is kind of like a little hard for me because I know I can do it. I know I'm a very strong individual, but we don't show that side. Some women don't show that side. We don't show that emotion. We don't show that weakness because we try to be strong for everybody else. So my part is just sometimes being strong and not showing it. Sometimes I can be like, I'm a little weak right now, but this is where, I gather around my sisters. I speak to my sisters, my female friends, because everybody has their moment. So it's just about just being strong sometimes can be the hardest.
I'm gonna jump in. I think the hardest thing is finding your voice sometimes because in this world, I've come to realize, especially in school, that finding your voice can be very hard because as a young woman and then also as a young Black woman, there's the stigmas that like we're difficult or we're loud or, there's so many stigmas that are against us and not wanting to be of those stigmas and those stereotypes. It's kind of hard to find your voice because sometimes I think, should I say this or like, is somebody going to think I'm just being difficult or combative because, those stigmas stick in your head. So finding my voice in certain situations has been a very difficult thing, especially in education, and sometimes even just like with my friends of different races and, you know, different cultures and stuff.
That brings up a good point, actually, as I sit and reflect. I would also like to share, I guess, just staying true to yourself can be challenging sometimes. Like, for instance, with my job, I feel like I've always worked in like corporate or like white, predominantly white industry where I'm always the only Black girl. And so I've just been trained to like code switch and I kind of lost my authentic self at work. Like I just never showed up. Like I've always kind of been nervous about my hairstyle. Like I remember one job I was nervous about wearing my hair in braids. This is before I went full out with my afro, but I used to wear my hair straight all the time. So I think just, you know, showing up as your authentic self can be a challenge sometimes. So yeah, I would say that would be one of mine.
I would say just trying to let go of the idea that we have to be all things to all people all of the time. That's just too much pressure. And I just feel that as women, and I think it even starts when you're young, you just feel this pressure to just know how to do everything for everybody. You know, you need to be the perfect daughter. You need to be the perfect sister, the perfect friend, the perfect girlfriend, wife, worker, everything. And it's just not true. It's just not true. You don't have to be all things to all people all of the time. You have to know who you are, and you have to be able to make time for yourself and the things that matter to you. And the other things, they can wait. They can wait. The world, my mom always tells me, the world is not going to stop spinning if you don't do this or that. Like the world is going to keep on going, you know, even with your job. Like they will, if you pass away, they're going to find another teacher to fill that classroom tomorrow.
Yep.
You know,
Tomorrow.
time. And that makes me stop and say, you know, that's right. So I can take a day off if I need a day off. If I need a mental health day, I can take it off and not feel guilty. You know, even though I'm a mom, if I need a day to myself, I could say, you guys know what to do. I'm taking this day for myself, and it's okay. They're going to be all right. And it's not just the fact that they're 16 and 20 now, but even when they're little, they're going to be all right. And I think that that's important for us to learn so that we don't try to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders.
Okay. How important are women mentors? Or do you think they are essential? And also, how do you find one? I'll start. I would say I think they are essential. I always struggled to find, I don't know, in my mind, I always, like through college and in the workforce, I feel like I've been exposed to people saying you need mentors. In industry-wise, you do. And even in life, spiritually, I think it's great if you have a mentor. And I always kind of would seek them. And then I realized they would find you eventually. Like you don't even have to really search. I feel like God will he puts certain people in your life for certain reasons, seasons, all of the above. And I personally think they are essential for growth. Like right now, one of my mentors is actually my preschool teacher, which is so crazy that we have been this long. But I went to like a Christian preschool. We went to the same church. So I literally saw her every Sunday. Now she's breaking off and doing her own ministry. And literally somebody that I text about everything. Like, okay, this is going on. This is what I need prayer about because child life gets hard. So, you know, you just need these people in your lives spiritually and even just on a regular, you know, that you connect with, whether it's a friend, a sister, someone older, someone younger. Sometimes it could be.
I would definitely say that women mentors are essential in this day and time, especially in this generation. I see a lot of young women out in the street just don't even know how to talk. Some of them need to be taught of how to talk, how to have a conversation. A lot of them are very aggressive It could be from their childhood. It could be a lot. So I really do think women mentors are important just to carry yourself as a lady, when to speak, when not to say something, just staying in a woman's place. So I really do think it's very important. Some things that I see is very disturbing. So it's in this time, yes, absolutely, I do definitely agree.
That's a good point. Yeah, if you don't have anybody to lead you or kind of advise at a young age, like what if you don't have your mother in your life or a mother figure in your life?
And some of them, it's not really their fault because they don't probably have a mother in the home. They probably didn't have that example. So we definitely need a lot of young women, to teach these young women that are, being brought up, especially the young ones that are maybe, having kids at a young age that they wasn't taught the correct way. So it's hard for them to teach their kids. So I definitely, think that it's very important in this generation.
That's true. Because it's some of the aggression too in their mind is considered like their independence. Like, we have in this last maybe decade or two, this independent women, but I think society has really painted so many different pictures depending on who you are. And it's like, okay, well, if I pick this one, then for me, that's okay. But that may not be what an independent woman is to look like. So the aggression comes out like, well, I don't need nobody and I can do this by myself. And it's like, no, you're going to eventually need help somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't do it all. It's like, Daphne said, you can't be everything to everybody, but because your environment kind of shows you that, depending on where you are, then you feel like that's the only thing that you can do. So definitely in this time, I would, it is my prayer that, us and, plenty of other people throughout this world can be that example for, this generation. I mean, you don't necessarily have to say, hey, let me be your mentor. Sometimes just being the example makes you a mentor to somebody. And you may not even think that that person even looks up to you like that. Maybe later on down the line, they'll say, thank you for everything you've done. You may not have feel like you've done anything, but all you did was be that example. And for them, you are that mentor.
Right. That was a good point, Stacey. I like that.
It'll happen naturally sometimes. So it's
right.
Right.
So I have another topic. In our society or in 2021 in general, do you think there are more opportunities now for women of color, ladies of color, teenagers of color? Like, any thoughts on that?
I think there are, but I think there's still more. We still have a lot ways to go. I think we as women have showed, especially in this last, decade or so, that we've literally shown the world that we can do anything and everything, and we can kind of overcome things, but we still have a lot more work to do. So just having a vice president that is a woman, and was it Congresswoman Stacey Abrams and so many others that have made historical moments in the last couple of years. When you look at it, it still shows we still have a lot of work to do.
I mean, I look at Amanda Gorman, the young poet that did a poem at the inauguration. She's only 23 years old. So it's possible that we have them growing up. They're coming out, but like Stacey said, it's a lot more that needs to be done, but we have come a long way just to see Kamala Harris, a vice president in the House, is just amazing in itself. So I totally agree. Yes.
I think that there are definitely more opportunities for Black women than there were probably like in the last decade or years ago. But I think that it's also, even though there are more opportunities, it's still hard being a Black woman or a woman of color in any workspace, because there are still microaggressions that we can face.
That's true.
Yeah, that was a good point, Sharita.
I would okay.
Perfect.
So, I was gonna say, piggybacking off of what Jada said, with the microaggressions, it's real. I see it every day. I see it like, even just like in universities. Like, I can't say that I can count probably on one hand how many, African American professors that I have, of high standards, that, is recognized in the university as a professor. And so, just I feel like we have Kamala Harris, and we have so many, strong women that are that example, but we have a lot of way to go. And I feel like that starts with this conversation, putting it out there that, we need to see, more women, and, maybe this can go to someone else, and, employers that can see that, women of color, we're doing our thing, and like we have something to say and we have something to give back. So we've gone up very, very far. We've progressed from, the 60s, the 50s, but we do have a lot of more to go.
Yeah, I was gonna add on, even in our current society, I feel like there are a lot of opportunities that are opening up now. And I think it's in response to some of the things that we've been through and the outcries that have come up, even the Black Lives Matter movement, where people are, now they're trying to make opportunities where they probably wouldn't make opportunities before, because they just want to, it almost seems like it's like, okay, let's just make it, look good. But it's still an opportunity and an open door for us to get out there and to show the world, what we can do. We had it all along, and it's very sad and it's unfortunate that we were not given the opportunities, that we were always pushed to the back, and people felt like it was okay and they could get away with it, and no one would say anything. And now that things are being said, I feel like people have to, it's in the forefront, even in education. Like, I was talking to my daughter the other day about how, in a meeting that we had, they were like pushing the need for students to, have more books where they see children of color. And that has always been, it just didn't start yesterday. I feel that that's something that should have always been, but now it's like on everyone's mind, it's right in the forefront. And so they're pushing these things on us, and it may seem unfair, but it's also providing an opportunity, a door, a window for us to shine. And I think that we need to take the opportunity while we have it and show the world just who we are and what we can do.
Absolutely. Walk through that door. Mm-hmm. Okay. What advice would you give to the younger generation or the next generation?
Listen to your parents.
Yeah.
No, for real, because they know. They know.
A lot of them don't.
Yeah.
Some of them do. No, for real.
You gotta be
Some
careful.
of them don't.
You are enough. Some of them don't feel like they're enough. So, it goes back to what Candace said earlier, playing, cold switch and, pretending to be something that you're not, depending on who you're around. Like, you are enough. You don't have to pretend to be anybody. Just be yourself, because somebody out there is looking for you. And they won't see the real you if you pretend to be somebody else.
So peer pressure it's really heavy out here. It's getting very, very heavy. So a lot of young people, some older ones too, feel that they are not enough, because just seeing other people, they're looking like, oh, I want to do that. I want to be just like that person. But everybody is not the same. Everybody's vision is not the same. Everybody have that uniqueness about themselves, that their own uniqueness about themselves that makes them different.
Since I kind of am one of the younger generations, I'd probably say to my generation and the generation that is coming after me that they're loved. It's really hard in this society and with things going on in the world right now to believe something like that, especially with everything that, children, Black children, and young girls have had to deal with. And I just think that's something that they really need to hear.
Since I would consider Jada the next generation, after me, I would say just corresponding to what Sister Rivera said, you don't have to be everything for everyone. Just to give a gist of what Sister Rivera said, it is hard that you feel like you got to be everything, and you have to feel like you have to do everything, and you have to say the right things at the right time, and put up this facade. But you're great just who you are, and if people can't take you for who you are, you don't need them. You don't have to be everything for everyone else. And it's okay to say, I need help. Like, having that, going back to what Dawn said, having that, having to be strong stigma and just being strong. Like, it's okay to have your weak moment. And that's why you have mentors, to lean on, and, someone to be like, I'm not really me right now. Can you help me to get back to being me? You don't have to be on 100% all the time, because that's not real. That's not authentic being 100%. You're gonna have your days when you're not gonna want to get up out of bed. You're gonna have some days when you're just gonna be by yourself, and that's totally okay. You don't have to be everything 100%, and embrace that. Embrace, having those bad days, because when embracing those, when you have these bad days, when the good days come, you'll know how bad those bad days were, and you'll love it even more. And you can share that to the next people, the next generation coming after you, and they can keep going.
That's
Great.
That was good, Brianna.
That was awesome.
Yes.
It's awesome to know that at the age that you are right now. That is awesome, and to fully understand it. That's awesome.
Just the mindset of
Yes.
just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
I guess I would say don't be afraid, because I think that fear holds us back. They tell us all the time that fear is the opposite of faith. And there's so many fears that we have that we don't express to people. And we trap ourselves by those fears, and we don't do things that we could have done, and opportunities that we let go by because we were afraid. That's definitely something that I would love to tell younger people. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. And that's why we have God. And if you don't have God in your life, get God in your life, because God is what is going to help you to use your voice, to stand up, to not be afraid, to overcome. For the bad days, you have God to encourage you, to lift you up. So it's so important that you get God in your life, because he's going to help you to overcome the things that you probably thought were impossible and that you could never overcome. It's, with God, all things are possible, and it's very true. Very, very true. And we have to really hold on to that and tell our children that, so that they can become whoever they need to become, because the world is waiting for them. The world is waiting for them. And there's so many people who the world was waiting for them and they didn't come through, because they didn't have anyone to encourage them. So I say, don't miss the opportunity. Don't be afraid. Get God in your life, and be who he created you to be.
Wow, that was
Okay.
phenomenal.
Yes.
You're
Really, really
perfect.
good.
Great.
I know that for a fact, because I allowed fear to hold me back for so long. So I just had to get rid of that fear. Now that I'm out, I branched out with my own business. I just had to let that go, because I was fearful of how people,
Right.
will they receive me? Will they support me? Will they donate to me? And I just stepped out on faith. I just this is just all or nothing. Let me go out here. And just people that you never think that will support you was really there. And I was like, you know what, God, thank you. Like, I really, really thank you. Even somebody that didn't even know me, this guy just walked up, and I was talking on the phone, and he was like, you have your own business? I was like, yeah. And he's just all in my conversation. He was like, you know what? I want to sow a seed into you. And I looked at him like,
What? You're not turning down no seed.
I'm looking at this man like, I'm not taking
Know you.
right. But at that time, it was immediately God spoke to me, don't do that, And when I actually went back into the store, I couldn't find him.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I
Well,
could not I couldn't find him. So I know it was nobody but God. But the moral of the story is I had to let that fear go. So Daphne was definitely on that with that fear. You have to let fear go and just let God have his way.
well, ladies, any closing remarks? This was a great discussion. We just want to thank everybody for participating. Any last thoughts, comments?
We're strong. We are strong women, loving women.
We
God
celebrate
fearing
you
women.
today and every day.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining. Have a great night.
You too.
Good night.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the middle layer. Listen, I want to thank God for everyone who participated in the conversation on tonight. Can we thank God? Put your hands together. Put them virtual hands together. Put your hands together for all of those who have partaken in tonight's discussion of the middle layer discussion. Listen, every third Friday, we're going to do something else like this. We're going to get in the minds of some of our young people to see what's really on their minds about current events and the scripture and the word. We're going to get into the middle layer. Listen, but sis, we've done all of that. We've gotten all to that part, but here was a part where we all have the opportunity to participate. Yeah, it's offering time. It's offering time in the tabernacle. My Bible says this, that it is better to give than it is to receive. But my Bible also says that the Lord loves a cheerful giver. So if you are not a cheerful giver on this part, please do not. So we want all the real cheerful givers to stand up and give your offering. Listen, I'm not going to put a amount on it, but I want you to give the very best that you can give in this season. Get the very best that you can get. There's Cash App. Our Cash App is $GHDT 132. Listen, it's all right there on the screen for you. GHDT 132. You can find us on Givelify, which is find us by our church name. Please look. You have to be distinct in our church name, Greater Highway Deliverance Temple. You can go to our church website, ghdtnyc.com. You can give on any one of those platforms. If you cannot, you're not tech savvy and say, well, LaWanda, I just can't get with all of that. Listen, you can drop a check in the mail and send it to 132 East 111th Street, New York, 10029. Attention, Finance Department. Listen, I hope you have enjoyed the service tonight. Listen, that is all our time tonight. I gotta go. We are going to leave this place, but never from God's presence. Join us on Sunday at 11 a.m. We're going to be live right here in the main sanctuary. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one.